bad sex, it's raining or cold.
Yeah, careful.
Because you must be outside.
Now they say it's
Not like
not.
that. This one, and you can't produce the weather.
No, like treat yourself
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't
What if this is closer to you?
This is very popular. You know, you attract buy drinks. You know, so you can make television, you look back. But the only thing is because the audience is, you know, we are trained. I think you can go like, but sometimes we go there and support all the time.
No reason to have a specific place to go to
Exactly.
you know, where you're not supporting the music. Instead of getting right.
Exactly. Yeah. Because they don't mind you should bring your own. They do serve there, but they don't mind you bring your own. Yeah. So before you finish your portion, you can just take it and go there. Finish it off there. Just make sure you don't sit there and have that job.
No. It's up blue and it's up. We need a new one now.
What are you talking about? Just that one. Yesterday, we went to see then we said to take it outside. That's the whole stuff outside. And when they ask you, he would come in that game of us. You know, because he was not in our school. Which is that game of us. And he knows that we are here. Because it doesn't matter. We must clear up. When he asked who said, you know, that's always a problem. This guy going, ask me. It's okay. How are you today? What now? I was saying that I need to go in. Somebody has been getting up. It's a problem. You can't. Oh, let us cut.
So well, I mean, there is no chance of me. No, it's down 37 years. So most of the time in our family, and I'm addressing there 50 to 100 people at the same time. I introduce myself.
And they're proud to know you.
Everybody else introduces themselves to and then I meet them in the street. And he said, I don't know who the hell it is. Even
And this place is too small.
I know.
Don't teach them much of the kind of meet all the time. It's all about food and a little more. Doesn't know by state this side. Oh, Manana. Yeah, the guy was literally at the shop.
You can't do that.
So sweet.
Hey, not a George, not a nice. One and about 10 you are stop for petrol. Or we drive up on a
No, Mbalula, the first thing that comes out of his mouth better be an apology for being late. I thought you
Yeah.
You said what? You have another show. It's good to see now I guess yeah.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Yeah. No, you can't make a joke about this. You must ask him why, how come that guy was making arrest, and how come he, as the Minister of Police, is not
So we can start. You want to check? Everyone, all you?
Coming in one.
I'm bringing the big announcement. How are you guys? What is the big guy? Yes? I saw lots of cars on the way. Nice from you.
Let's see.
Or if it was yours, what if it was
Somebody? Enjoy. The black. Yes. Who's that? The minister is working in now. No, it's coming in. Who are we bringing in? Many people are being brought in, so no, I show you.
Attention.
Attention.
Okay. Water.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming to this media briefing. Minister Mbalula will then take us through the statement, and then from there we'll do the usual, ask questions in Cape Town, and then go to Pretoria if there's anyone in Pretoria. Minister, over to you.
Thank you. Against groups, we are not forgetting the thousands of Courtney Petersons, our beautiful 3-year-old, we lost this year in a suspected rape femicide crime, a gruesome act of deep inhumanity. We talk of women's plight and are not forgetting the pain and fear our lesbian and gay communities go through in our streets. We remember Nokolo Nogwaza, a brave 31-year-old gender activist who had to die for activism as a gang of persons with evil hearts and minds pounced on a stabbing her to death after an unspeakable so-called corrective rape. There are many others, including Ms. Noluvo, Swelling-Dow of Khayelitsha, and more. Lesbians and gays are killed because they were born that way, a hate killing. The Creator creates some amongst us, believe it is up to them to uncreate that which nature has beautifully given to us as humanity. These therefore are not just gender-based violent crimes, but hate crimes as well. They are the same as being killed because of the color of your skin. Amongst us others live hateful persons who do not belong in the streets. These persons are our new Ku Klux Klan. This clan of pedophiles, homophobes, and women killers must be isolated by our communities and reported to the police department without fail. Researchers say 51% of lesbians and gays live in total fear in this country. 81% of the crimes against them are said to never get reported. The question before me as your Minister of Police is, what is it that I am doing to make it easier for lesbians and gays to report crimes against them? It is a crime to harass, harm, intimidate, rape, sexually assault, or abuse lesbians and gays. Rape and domestic violence against women and vulnerable groups is a serious crime. Whether the rape is occurring between strangers or acquainted persons, it is still a crime. Women are not the property of males in this country. No human has a right to own and control another. The violence in our society from time to time again is always linked to alcohol and beer halls. The abuse of alcohol by our citizens is robbing the state of billions of rands per year, where our hospitals are jam-packed with injuries from assaults, especially on Sundays and Mondays. The example of this is seen in the case of our own comrade, Deputy Minister Manana, who today appeared at the Randburg court after handing himself over to the police this morning, following his constant cooperation with the investigators from the day the matter was reported. The Deputy Minister availed himself to us and has been fully cooperative. Citizens have rightfully demanded that this case be treated as serious and urgent due to the identity of the perpetrator. I agree. A few days passed without a court appearance due to witness statements that had to be obtained and the case docket that had to meet the good standards we have set to make sure we prosecute successfully. There was never a reason to rush a matter when the emergency is not there. Rushing leads to many simple and straightforward cases being bungled. South African Police Service has been thorough and the law is taking its course. Your state fully supports the victim and acting only on behalf of the victim. The case is going to be Manana versus the state, acting for the victim. Many have asked for a rush to arrest the suspect. However, the law does not always work that way. An arrest without a warrant is done willy-nilly. Indeed, an axe-wielding man in the street will be arrested as that is an emergency. A man caught or a woman in the moment of beating his wife will be restrained and arrested. Courts have also been clear to South African Police Service that an arrest must be done procedurally. We lose a lot of money in civil claims in this regard when we arrest without proper due diligence. Arrest is not a form of punishment. An arrest police make is primarily to secure appearance in court and also as an emergency measure to restore peace and order. The Deputy Minister is a known individual. He cannot hide from the law. He is not a flight risk, and as police, we do not mete out punishments but secure suspects for court processes. Courts hear the matters openly and decide on punishment or otherwise. I've noted that many in society will prefer for the Minister of Police to carry with himself handcuffs and cuff up any suspect. That will not make us a police. That will make us a police state. We are a constitutional democracy, and we have a victim who is able to identify her attacker, and the law will now take its course. The disturbing aspects of the matter before the police is very clear. A woman was assaulted by a group of men who, according to media reports, had a problem with something she said. A group of men, a clan, joined to exchange masculine punches with a lady at a beer hall well after the legal hours of consumption of alcohol as per license of the beer hall itself. Here we are dealing with various potential crimes, and this suppress the state and put pressure on service delivery as the victim had to be seen by a medical professional. We saw a brutal view of a schoolboy challenging a schoolgirl into a fight and beating her up so bad I thought she needed a scan to check her likely head trauma. These things occur when we promote violence and make it fashionable. These are the children we raise. This boy, if there is no serious intervention, will surely grow up to be a women killer. Crimes against women and all gender-based violence are not only plain evil but directly cost the public and economy money. And grandmother who buys her living essentials and paying VAT, pays for drunkenness of people who end up raping and assaulting women. Another vulnerable group we have found to be particularly vulnerable in KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, and Eastern Cape are our citizens with albinism. The pigmentation issue on people with albinism does not change the organs. It will not give you any power. Our elderly people with disabilities too are under great strain from the able-bodied people. Yesterday I witnessed a broken mother. Her pain teared the walls of the room of a humble home in Khayelitsha as she was getting into terms with the untimely death of her daughter. She and her husband, who escaped death from a grievous assault, had feared that the day may come as they went through terror over the years from the person of interest in this case. They had witnessed their daughter, Aviwe Jam Jam, coming home with bruises and being treated like a piece of property. They did all they could as parents, but ultimately their beautiful daughter was found dead after missing for weeks. I want to again inform communities this very important message. I know we watch American movies and they give us ideas. In South Africa, however, there is no waiting period for reporting a missing person. If a person who has been known to arrive or phone at a particular time does not do so, go report to police station immediately. There is no waiting time. The sooner you report the matter, the higher the chances of us saving a life. As I conclude, let me go back to a question I said I have posed to myself as a Minister of Police. What is it that I am doing to make it easier for women and all vulnerable groups to report these very serious crimes to police? On Friday, tomorrow, I will be unveiling a policy on removing barriers on reporting of gender-based crimes, domestic violence, and other related crimes. It is a program of action. It is a call of action. It is a mobilization of our society. It is utilizing our police station as the reporting point and the processing of the crime. But it needs all hands on deck to execute our mandate to save and protect our citizens, women and children in particular. In this policy, we are saying no woman must be turned back from a police station. Most of the time, women get turned back from the police station, and the consequence of that, it is women we found to have actually either withdrawn their cases and eventually they get killed by their perpetrators. Each person reporting a crime must be treated as a genuine victim, not to be second-guessed but assisted. That is our policy. You don't go to a police station and report a crime and the police officer second-guess you that you don't have bruises and there is nothing wrong about you. You can speak, you can walk, you can hear, and therefore you can go back. And what we're saying is that in our policy, that must be a matter of the past. A woman in a police station reporting crime must be treated diligently and be understood. And no case must be withdrawn at the police station. It is only a court of law that must make that determination. We are saying a slap on the face is a potential murder. Because a slap and you go back to family, business, and the matter is settled, it is a potential murder. As it would have happened with many of the victims who died at the hands of the perpetrator. We are saying unwanted touching is a potential rape. If a woman says no, it means that you must retreat as a real man because she doesn't want what you want. And therefore you must retreat because it's a potential rape. All victims and their families must be offered victim support. As much as this is important. We are aware that our police stations do not execute this mandate and this policy fully, in which all victims and their families must be offered victim support. Girls are allowed to bungle in their own cases, and then potentially the investigators get bribed either way or get dissuaded either way, depending on the standing of an individual. If I'm Fikile Mbalula, somebody report that I've actually abused them or beaten them up, and the victim automatically does not enjoy the rights of being supported. The person who is covered and supported becomes the perpetrator. In this particular instance, the state must protect the victim, and the perpetrator must see for himself in relation to the reported crime. We are saying our police stations will treat victims or survivors with care and all sensitivity in line with the trauma they have gone through. We are saying we have no time to waste time. Ahlome ihlasele gender-based violence. Lastly, we are saying that the case in point of the Deputy Minister, it is very disappointing because we expect individuals like him to act as ambassadors in the protection of women against violence. But nonetheless, everybody is presumed innocent until proven otherwise. And nobody is above the law. That is guaranteed in our jurisprudence. And I'm not judging anyone who have questioned the police about the case of Manana, because it is true in our society that sometimes our law has got eyes in terms of who is the perpetrator, and they are treated with special kid gloves. And I can assure you that Deputy Minister Manana will not be treated with special kid gloves, and then will face the full wrath of the law in relation to the reported crimes, of which today he appeared in court. From the moment the matter was reported to the minister via Twitter, we made a follow-up and unleashed the police on that. We did not wait to hear and understand where the case was opened. And we reported the matter immediately to our police, who undertook the mission to start the investigation on the matter. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those questions, for the statement. Jeez, all right. Let's start here in Cape Town. Let me start at the back, actually, and then I'll come. You'll be number 1, you'll be number 2, number 3, 4, 6, or 5, sorry, 6, 7. Can we do 5 and then we're then going to do the other one so that the minister is able to record? So it's 1, 2, so it's open all right. You can show.
Good afternoon, Minister. Paul Becchiardi from Bloomberg. You admitted to also giving Deputy Minister some kind of legal advice. Could you explain your actions? Surely you should have stepped back from this immediately if you or he contacted each other. Secondly, the Deputy Minister, was he accompanied by his police bodyguards? And if so, did they witness the incident? And why did they not intervene? In terms of the South African Police Services Act, any policeman witnessing the commission of a crime in front of him has to act, otherwise they are charged with obstruction of justice.
Which of
Let's do this. Now, let's give the minister to respond to these ones, and then we'll bring about the other one. Okay. Minister?
Well, I didn't understand. Where does it arise from?
Minister, there's a media story out that you admitted to have telephoned him, giving him advice on what to do. So if that's not true, fine. But I mean, did you speak to him then in any other way and tell him what to do? For instance, advise him to get a lawyer and all of that? And was it appropriate?
No, it is not what I do. I didn't do that. First, the story was reported to the Minister of Police via Twitter, and I didn't have contacts with the people who were involved up until a later stage, which they then contacted me personally on my telephone. And in that regard, I had called Mdu to understand what happened, because I'm on Twitter and I use that platform also, where people who are victimized and young women, they report their atrocities that they come across on a daily basis. And here was a woman who was badly bitten in a club and was reported on Sunday time. And I was also tagged that here are the people bitten, what happened by the deputy minister. And I asked, what happened? And then I said, this is a serious matter in relation to that. So, and I buried it there because it meant that it's a matter that is serious, that needs to be related to the police, and we need to take up the issue. What he said to me, it's a matter of saying it was the people that he was with. So I'm not an investigator. So at that point, that's where our discussion stopped till today. And even after the incident, I learned about it. I did not continue to communicate with him. My communication with him too stopped at that point. And immediately the victim called me through his brothers and the sister cousin close to her and explained to me what happened. And then I took the necessary steps to ensure that the matter is reported to the police. And then I phoned General Deliwe in Gauteng Police to assist, as I usually do. And I activated General Mutiba because this involved a person known in the cabinet, that this matter with released, informed by the police that indeed the case about the family. So I'm not in the case. But when the case is reported on my platforms and is brought to my attention, I'm not a police officer, but I don't put a blind eye to that. I make a follow-up. Is this matter been attended to? And if not, why is it not attended? I've helped more than 5,000 young women, who some of them, when I came into the police because of the Twitter platform, were saying to me that, Minister, I've reported to the police for more than 5 years. I'm on the run from a man. And some of them are in jail because of my intervention. Now, it's not supposed to be like that. And that is why, based on that experience, it means there is something wrong in terms of the administering of justice at the police station level. You cannot have a person reporting a crime at a police station of abuse more than 5 times, and as a police officer in that police station, you don't take that matter seriously. Even once, if the person comes for the second time, then the perpetrator must be found to be. Some of these perpetrators are found and they are let loose for reasons that are known to the police officers, and the woman who report the case end up dying and being killed. Some of the cases we're dealing with is in Alexander. A guy killed a woman, and then before that happened, the woman had reported the case, not of abuse, of assault, GBH. In a couple of weeks, the woman came back to the police station and withdrew the case. It was allowed. A week later, the perpetrator came to the house and killed the woman and killed the brother. A friend of the girl who actually died got my numbers. You distribute our numbers most when you want to outvote the president. So everybody has got my number. Happy to the campaign of Zuma must fall. So my numbers are everywhere. I'm called by everybody, even for anti-crime purposes. So they got my number and then they called me. And I went to Alexander Police Station as an example to highlight that our police stations cannot be negligent to the lives of ordinary citizens of our country who are vulnerable, in particular women. I met the station commander. I gathered the facts. The time I arrested the person, a week later, was not yet arrested. 2 weeks. And the family knew where he was and where he was hiding, but nobody was doing anything about it. And then I went there and I called the media. And the following day, he presented himself and he was arrested. And it's now denied bail and is still standing trial in this particular case. So there are many such cases. And I'm not saying that the police must do this thing alone. They must not. Police must not use favoritism and bungle cases and withdraw them simply because somebody is of an important stature. The case I don't want to talk about of Khayelitsha yesterday. Similar features. The girl is dead. Went to report the case, withdrew the case. The parents were tormented. The woman stayed with the abuser for years. And then she was found dead somewhere in the veld next to Athlone. Now, this is society. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying the police force that I lead in South Africa must do things right. In this campaign, I'm saying that within what the law permits, we must be able, in the 6 points that I've outlined, to protect our women in every police station. But you know, as I know, not all police stations are going to do what I say it's policy. They are going to debunk, they are going to bungle, they are going to neglect what we are talking about. How do we hold them accountable? There must be a mechanism where in which if a case is reported to a police station, I enable citizens to report and then I ask a question. Not a hotline. What I'm doing here on Twitter on every day, I'm doing on DMs. It has been genuine cases and all of them spot on. 5 years and all of that been reported. Now it means in my system, there are cases that are reported and neglected by police for one reason or the other, and so on. So we need to address that. We can't say we've identified the gaps in the system and we don't do anything about that. And that is why, as we undertake the campaign against gender-based violence, we say our police stations must become a front line in the response against women abuse and violence against women. And the law permits, we're empowered in terms of the Domestic Violence Act and so on, and we must act. We've got specialized units that have been established. Where are they? What is their experience? So I want equally a dialogue for the police to speak out, because there is gender prejudice also within the police. When a woman comes to report at the police station, a police cop who's a man says that, hey, now wait there. There is. We need to deal with that issue from a point of law enforcement. And cases have been bungled. In most instances, investigators have got a cogent, cozy relationship with the perpetrator. Mdu is not the first person we're dealing with. Arthur Mafokate was appearing on Drum Magazine. Society campaigned and said no to that nonsense. Why are you on Drum Magazine when you are accused of such a crime against a woman? You see, equally, the perpetrator is well known. But all these people must understand the consequence of their actions. that they will not be spared by the law, and the law will grind on them in terms of their actions. Whether or not you can argue that you were provoked or otherwise, whatever that can actually be said, but it doesn't give you a right to lift your hand against a woman. And most of these women who come and report their cases in the police stations don't have money, don't have legal representation. As a person who is a perpetrator, you've got money, you've got legal representation, you've got powerful connections, including in the police station. So you are protected. So the poor girl goes to court, she's been molested, assaulted, the perpetrator is acquitted because she doesn't have protection. First and foremost, she's not properly guided in terms of taking a statement, victim support, to understand their rights. If I'm going to protect my friend and the other friend of another friend, it's going to be a perpetuation of violence against women. It will never stop. So I'm saying that it must not happen. The police must not be told by the Minister of Police what to do. They must do their job. But the Minister of Police, because he's a Minister of Police, cannot put a blind eye to the well-known act of abuse and simply walk away from that. I must be able to report that matter to the police. That doesn't only include crimes that are related to women. That includes crimes, including people reporting crimes that before they happen, drug lords and all of that, and we have raided those places and we have found people in those particular areas. Was the deputy minister accompanied by the police is a subject of investigation. Whether or not he was with the police and all of that, and where the police, as and when that particular action happened. So that matter is a matter of investigation. And equally, is a matter that concerns me because the police that got him are the police that report directly to me. So I need to know those answers, and I filed those questions. And in relation to my own department directly, at the helm of it, to know what happened. Because these protectors are given to ministers to look after them 24/7. So when all these activities happened, where were the protectors? And I don't want to comment on the case so that I'm not called as a witness. I've seen what we have seen in the videos, and I've seen what is being reported, and I leave it there. I don't want to comment about my view and my posture. My posture is to ensure that a matter that is reported of a woman being abused and kicked and all of that is brought before the courts. And the deputy minister is held accountable to basically account on what is actually reported. Maverick. Yes, we have all learned about some of the cases that were reported, and some of them are not, in the database of the police in terms of the case number and all of that. So I expect the police, in the context of the policy that I've outlined, that those matters must be followed up, because we cannot allow those particular issues to go on unattended. That is what is important. Why am I involved all the time? I think I've answered that question. I get involved because of my space. I was well and good in sports. Nobody called me about abuse. And I was at sports, and I was on Twitter, and I was exchanging good ideas with Adrian Basson on Twitter. So nobody came to me to talk about these issues of safety. I was just talking about Floyd Mayweather and all of the other important issues. And Caster Semenya and Wade van Niekerk and all what I used to do. It was nice.
Sounds like you want to go back there.
No, it was nice there, I must say. But equally, this one is okay because it's serving. So I do it to the best of my ability. So now I'm in the police. People reported their things because it changed overnight. So they reported their things about the situations that they are faced in, difficulties, and so on. So we attend to those issues. And some of those issues, I realize that police have been negligent in attending to them. I can tell you a lot of cases. Eastern Cape, a woman called me. She was involved, she was abused, she was not attended. A woman called me. She was raped. I activate the police in the Eastern Cape. I was called by his brother from Johannesburg. I don't know him, we have never met. And then when the police go there, indeed, that was the truth. A woman was raped, reported the rape, she was neglected, the perpetrator is still around, the docket above all is missing. But we've gone back. We've arrested the perpetrator. The lady is happy, she's getting protection. So those are the things I've come across. When I'm on Twitter, on my cell phone, that people have called me and have given me messages that we've got this problem. There is a crime next door happening. I report to the police because I've got police contacts. I run the police in this country. I don't have a crisis, the police telephone numbers. I don't relate to 10-111. I talk to police directly. Yes, 10-111 is important, and I'm coming up with new mechanisms that are refreshing in the fight against crime to make it even more possible for citizens to report their cases without fear or favor. Because I've realized that there's no prank calls on Twitter when people report this thing, but it is also the ability and the willingness. And when a case is reported, cops don't most of the time attend to the case. They neglect that case, and then it falls wayside. Police getting instructions. Yes, I instruct police every day. It is my job for various reasons. Some of the instructions they take, some they don't take. But I've never given them illegal instructions that go and close a case there, don't do that. No. I've given them lawful instructions that this one must be arrested. You don't know the fight I go through about arrest of people. Because I'm not a cop. I get lectured sometime that no, this cannot be done at this time. I say nonsense. This must be done. This person must be arrested. That's what I go through. It's my job. But I'm not going to come before you and mourn what must happen, because that is what we've got to do. So we've got to protect our citizens, and that is what is important. The question of Sunday Times, serial offender, and all of that. Look, all of those particular cases and the people who are involved, it is within their right to report those particular issues. If there were serial offenders in the cases that have been reported, they need to be attended to. But I'm not here to defend Deputy Minister Manana. I'm just explaining the law and what we do from the context of the police in any other case that happens. And Du is not the first person in the public domain who has been faced with this. Starting from the times before I was even in the police. Jub, there were complaints when the case started that is getting favoritism. And the police attended to those things. And Jub has faced his day and came out of jail on parole. Briggs is in jail now. You know, we all know those people. Arthur Mafukate is facing his charges and his day in court, and with his girlfriend, and it's Mdu now with the young lady. In whatever that actually happened, he must have his day in court. He must be prosecuted. He must answer to the charges that are before him. That is what is important. I'm not aware whether he came through the front door or the back door. So you tell me that now. I'm from cabinet, and what is important for me is that he was arrested. So, and I briefed the media yesterday that indeed that today that is going to happen, and that he will appear before court. And I've been informed that indeed that actually happened. Whether he came before the front door or the or the back door, I wouldn't know, and why.
But would you agree that something like that, if it were true, would be a sign that he is being favored, or that he is at least receiving a special treatment?
Well, I cannot conclusively say that he's receiving special treatment. The point is that in court you arrive there, you come either through the front or the back door. So the fact of the matter is that at the end of the day he must appear in court. So I don't think we must make an issue about the entry point. The fundamental question is that the law must take its course, and the investigators, the prosecutor, they must do their job in this particular instance. I do agree with the rest of society, and I'm not going to stop our people when they raised eyebrows about a well-known figure and with the possibility that that individual could be treated with speciality. It is correct, because in our society, indeed, such things do happen, and they have happened before. So when people raise that, it's their voices about justice. When I was the president of the Youth League, I used to advocate to say the law must not have eyes, must not have eyes. They must see us all equal. And that is what I advocate for. My party, the ANC, advocate for that. The Constitution we uphold, advocate for that. The law cannot have eyes. You can have money, but the law must be the same. Criminals have got money to protect themselves and all of that. People in society who have accumulated wealth of being known and so on, equally, the law tends to be apologetic when it deals with them. And that must not happen. That must not happen. And we have seen cases of people, disappear in the midst of all the things we're dealing with because of their status. What I understand, the principles of natural justice means that the men in the streets want to see justice to be done. That's all. That, yes, justice has been done. That's it. People who don't have money, who don't have anything, and that is what the law must execute. So when it comes to cases like this, I understand. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be here talking about the perpetrator and the person who's been arrested and the circumstances of that person, because the law is taking its course. But it is because it has become a public issue. Now we need to address that question. We need to confront. Otherwise, you are going to say, no, they did not come out because he's one of their own. Because he's in the cabinet, he's their friend, and all of that, they cushioned him. So I felt that it is important that on this occasion, today, we must confront those questions. And if this case is going to be a role model to our approach to how we deal with cases, and it has got some defects in it, it must then account for the future, for other people who will be arrested, well known, how do we deal with them in this particular matter. And I think that is what is important. We cannot dig our heads in the sand and run away and relate to people with statements. We must be able to rise and make ourselves available to account and give facts about what happened. And I've not made an attempt, but I've given you facts about basically what happened till today. And the society across have been edgy and then saying that Manana must be arrested and he must be brought to court for what they have seen in terms of the case itself. For me and you, we're not at Cubana in Pretoria, probably Cape Town, Cubana, but we're not there yeah. So,
but my last question, sir.
Okay. And then let me just answer the last thing. Ne? Okay, I've answered. Sir. Okay, pattern of I've answered that question.
Yes,
okay.
It's just about the issue, sir, of the fact that we still actually today still referring to him as deputy minister. The fact that at the end of the month he's going to draw a salary that's paid for by us sitting here and ordinary South Africans. Should we as taxpayers still be paying his salary?
The question which relate to anybody in that position, it's a matter that will be responded to by the presidency. I can't respond to that. If I were to do something wrong here and so on, the people who employ me are the ones who will give me direction. Or otherwise, myself, I can basically take a decision about my fate, that I choose to step down to face my challenges because I'm innocent. And that's it. So that is the choice in the space of an individual. But for where I stand, I can't take such decisions. Because me too, I'm employed. He's my colleague, so I can't take such decisions about him. For what I can do is to ensure that the law takes its course and the police are focused in dealing with the matters before us in relation to the Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Minister. Let's go to Pretoria before they leave our colleagues there. Pretoria, let's go.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. We do have a question from Pretoria.
Good afternoon, Minister. I'm from Pretoria. You said no one is above the law. Saying that famous people, deputy ministers, celebrities, they are above the law because they are known people in society. Can I just ask, who decided that Deputy Minister Manana is a known person in society? Who made that decision on that night at the restaurant? Was it one of the police members who decided that he should not be arrested because he's a Deputy Minister? And is it not up to the courts to decide if the Deputy Minister is a flight risk?
From Pretoria, Chairperson. Thank you. Sorry.
Olivia from Jacaranda FM News. Minister, I just wanted to clarify when did he hand himself over and which police station did he do it at?
Okay. Thank you very much. Archie, 1, and then you have 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6. Let's just finish it.
Minister, you mentioned that the woman was assaulted by a clan of men. Are they going to be arrested? Are they going to be dealt with? And secondly, we've heard reports that the victim is allegedly going to drop the charges. Are you aware of this? Is this true?
Is what?
He's going to drop the charges against Manana.
Okay.
I have a further question about the VIP protection unit. Didn't the Minister receive VIP protection after the incident? Because I find out that the person being investigated was also receiving protection from the police. And also given that there is a scheme in society that people are not protected by the police. So I'd like to comment on that. Thanks.
I'm Minister Paul Herman, also from News 24. My question's got to do with some of the other pictures that arrived on the night. We saw many other figures who were there on the night, including other public figures such as the one Deputy Minister, I think Manana was in one of the Instagram photos. Did all the people present give statements? Are you aware of everyone in those pictures specifically giving statements, including other public officials on the night? Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Gay Davis, Eyewitness News. Just further to the arrest of the Deputy Minister. Minister, I'd also like more details about that. When was he informed of his rights? And why was no statement issued? Because of the huge public interest in this matter. Why no statement saying that the minister's been arrested or has handed himself over for his arrest? And then in terms of the preferential treatment, a message is being sent that he is getting preferential treatment in terms of him being escorted in through the back door of the court and also sitting in the prosecutor's offices and not in open court waiting for his case to come forward. Now, what do you, as the Minister of Police, given what you've said before, feel about this message that is being interpreted by the general public as one rule for the rich and powerful and influential and one rule for the poor?
All right.
And the last question is, there's an online petition circulating calling on the President to dismiss the Deputy Minister. Would you support such a petition, Minister?
Okay, I can wait, it's fine.
Is that your?
Yes. First, let me start with the last question. Obviously, I must say that some of the things that will have been reported in the media, which suggest preferential treatment, will be worrisome to the Minister of Police, but it must be worrisome also to our colleagues, because this is a simple question. There is a perpetrator identified, must go through the procedures in terms of the law of the country. And I don't think that DU has not been cooperative with the police. And why would they decide to basically do things that are not within the law if they've done so? So I'm not there in action because I'm here with you. So if any of such happens and it would have been found, those who are in charge of the case must actually account because there's no way that I'm going to be minister here and I look like a fool. I'm not saying that the deputy minister must be handcuffed roughly or whatever that it is, but what's supposed to be done must be done. Like any other person who's appearing in court and all of that and so on. I think those things need to happen. So simply because we are not a banana republic, and that is it. All other people who have appeared before the courts have not been treated with, specialities or get coffee before you speak to the magistrate. You get your own coffee, and that is it. So we'll expect that to actually apply. So it is important that we must address that. Why no public statement? My days in the police are very shy in issuing statements. I agree with you. I called General DeLange this morning and say that why are you not informing the police, the media, about the court appearance of the deputy minister, what time and which court. That's it. And then she said that they were going to discuss that particular approach with regard to those who were in Johannesburg, so that you are well informed, because the matter was out there in the public domain. VIP protection after the incident. There are procedures you need to follow before you can take away VIP protection from a person, because the alleged perpetrator had not appeared in court, or whatever that is the case. In relation to the case and going forward, it depends on the action that government will take. If he were to resign or be asked to step aside, that will have implications in terms of the VIP protection. But if he is still deputy minister, whether or not he's in court, we will protect him, because he's still in our payroll. So if there's no swift action taken on him by government with regard to the implication of the case, as a result of the case, protection will actually be given to him, because we protect everybody who's appointed by the president, because they are the property of the state and of government, and that's what we do. But if tomorrow he were to resign and be asked to step aside, we will withdraw protection. So simple as that. Who decided on that night and so on? There's nobody who decided. All things are now. That is the question coming from Pretoria. They are the case, who were there at that night. Statements have been compiled. So it's a matter that is now sub judice and subjected to full investigation. So all those who were there, they will be asked to give statements, and then the investigating officers working with the prosecutors will make a determination about that. In reality, flight risk, it's a domain of the courts. All what we are explaining in the statement is that is a well-known person. We've got no such call to make. And I think in the statement, it's not even our overzealousness, but it's to explain that he has not run away, he was not uncooperative, he has been cooperative. With regard to the question of the withdrawal of the case, you know our policy statement. We wouldn't that to happen. If it were to happen, it is something that those who are involved in the case must actually be in a position to deal with. In the first place, like I said in my statement, that is a wastage of resources and time, energy. You report a case to a police station and then, why did you report? In the first instance, because you could settle the matter right there and there, outside the courts. But we know that these things do happen in South Africa, where people report cases and then they withdraw them for whatever reasons and reach an out-of-court settlement. Now, this is the biggest risk that we are faced with cases, particularly when it comes to gender-based violence. And I don't want to get deeper into this case and to start to characterize what actually happened. The most important thing is that we've got everything going, and there's nothing that has come to us that indicate what you have asked about case withdrawal. That one has not come to up until this morning. When did he hand himself? And I explained yesterday that he was actually warned that he must hand himself over today in Johannesburg police station. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Randburg and so on. Wherever he appeared, I don't know which police station. So that report I got last night. And that message was communicated to him in person. And he agreed to hand himself over this morning. I say it was a clan. Yes, it was a clan because it was a group. Yes, it was a group. And I don't want to delve into that because it's a matter of investigation. So a group is a clan. If ever you fight a person and you attack that person, it is a clan, it's a group. It's not one person. It's not an open fight where we open the ring and say, no, Pumas Betan. It happens because there was a group of people actually involved in it. And out of that, it came out that the deputy minister was one of those people.
Are they going to be dealt with?
Everybody is not only being dealt with, everything and everyone involved is being followed up. So there's nothing that is left unattended. So all of those who are involved will be identified and be dealt with. What is another question? Yeah, now we can come to you.
Sorry, Chairperson, we have a follow-up questions from Pretoria.
Okay, let's first take the follow-up and then it should be number one on this side. Yes,
okay.
Follow-up?
Minister Anton Meyer again from Pretoria FM. Yes. Minister, Oscar Pistorius is also a famous person. And he was arrested on that night, or that morning, by the police. There's a lot of other celebrities that you named which appeared in court. They were arrested after they were charged. Who took the decision that the Deputy Minister is not a flight risk? It's up to the courts, it's not up to the police to decide if he's a flight risk or not. Thank you.
All right, Anthony?
No, Anton, we are not fighting the struggles of Oscar Pistorius. The question I'm raising is that there's nobody who took a decision. I've explained that point. Nobody took such a decision. The fact have been identified, and it is a well-known person in the name of the Deputy Minister of Higher Education in the Republic of South Africa, and of which his identity would have been revealed now that he has appeared in court. In fact, if we want to follow the strictest line of the law, we were not supposed to even mention him before he appeared in court. Now, in our overzealousness sometimes of fighting battles and wanting things to get right, we tend to taint cases and make people to get away with murder. Because if you want to deal with these issues, when it comes to court, it becomes a different issue. Because Mdu will exercise his right and his protection in terms of the law and all of that, which we must avoid. And we can't afford. Remember even the Oscar Pistorius case you are talking about, what happened? It was nearly bungled. Because we went there, we talked about the case, and actually what happened, when Oscar Pistorius started to construct his story, it was a different case altogether. In fact, even today, we are still fighting over whether this sentence meted, is it equal, you know. And the state have invested a lot of money in that. So I think let's leave everything to the courts in relation to the deputy minister, and not only hope and believe that the courts will actually be in a position to deal with this particular matter and ensure that the perpetrator is actually brought to book and face the wrath of the law as it stands at the present moment.
Thank you very much. Okay, Minister Joseph Musia from SABC Radio News. My question relates to the space. Do you know what is Deputy Minister on bail? Of what are the conditions of the bail? Do you know? And secondly, was the fact that Deputy Minister had to come instruct, maybe it was an aside, but based on what, as a Minister of Police, do you instruct police to arrest people or not to arrest?
Yes, can I answer you? I instruct them in terms of what is prescribed to me in terms of the law as the Minister of Police. And there are many, those instructions vary from police policy issues in terms of what obtains, and at the same time, the organization of the South African police in particular. And I understand the issue between us in terms of that instruction, what obtains in terms of operations. And that call is made by the General of the Police or the National Police Commissioner at the national level. So there is a dichotomy there. But in terms of instructions, yes, there are instructions that we give to the police from time to time in terms of the prescripts of the law. Reporting a matter that is reported to the minister is not an instruction. It's to give to the police and to understand why the matter is not investigated. The minister doesn't. If you come to me now and say that you've been assaulted when you came out of an alcohol and so on, police are not dealing with your case. It is in my interest to understand what happened. Why is this citizen being ill-treated and not being attended to? But I can't give an instruction that says that, no, go and do this and all of that and so on. And some of the instructions I give them every day, shoot to kill, in the prescripts of the law. That is an instruction. Shoot to kill in your own self-defense. And that is what happens because the country, and that is it. And me as the minister, I've actually empowered the police to do that in the context of Section 49, in their own self-defense, not reckless shooting and all of that. So that in itself is an instruction. An instruction can involve the law. Why are you ignoring the law when this thing was supposed to happen? A child has been raped and all of that. Why are we not implementing the law in relation to that? So there is a case reported to me about somebody who it is alleged that has been assaulted by a deputy minister Yes, can you look at that particular case? No, Minister, a case has been opened. We are dealing with the matter, but can we ensure, because this matter is a matter of public interest that is well attended to. That is an instruction. I'm acting in the interest of the Republic of South Africa and the public of South Africa that placed me in this position, and through the powers of the President of the Republic to serve our people. So, I'm the only minister who's mentioned in the Constitution of the Republic. I'm the only minister who's mentioned in the Constitution that the President will appoint the Minister of Police and the Commissioner of Police. In the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, Minister of Police, it's Malusi, and then I'm number 2. So you must understand that the security of this country, homeland security, rests in us. So we deal with many complicated things when you are asleep. Of national security of South Africa, to protect our people and our citizens. And in that also instructions come. And we've got a whole setup of security management in South Africa. That is why you are safe. You might be terrorized by criminals, but from a security point of view, we make it a point that you are safe from all sorts of threats that we come across. And fundamentally, it's a question of fight crime. But overall, we are not only dealing with that, we deal with a whole range of issues that are around us. And that is what
even after he was recorded admitting and after the video trended. I think what my colleagues and I are keen to find out is why the gap. You did make mention on more than one occasion that the law must not just be done, but it must be seen to be done. And certainly in this instance, it doesn't seem like that is the case. Hence the questions of the special treatment. The Deputy Minister, he is a famous person, but he also admitted his guilt. So therein again, there's something different that distinguishes him from other perpetrators, alleged perpetrators. Why? No matter how much dare I say, trying to spin it, the fact of the matter is, and so it is that trying to find out why. Irrespective of the fact that he had a cup of coffee, we came in by the back door and things like that. People, ordinary people who are in the road, who get caught smoking a cigarette where they're not supposed to, are roughly handcuffed, to use your term. They bundled into the back of a van and spend the night in holding cells where they are sometimes raped. So again, the law must not only be done, but it must be seen to be done. And why has it not failed, or why has it failed so spectacularly in the Deputy Minister's?
Yeah, let me come to that particular point. I can't defend the issue of our spin. I don't believe in spinning, all right? But I'm a good spin doctor. But I can explain one thing to you, and I've explained in the statement that it was explained that evidence had to be obtained and all of that. And in this particular instance, they wanted to do a job in which they will have a case to present in court, but not simply arrest a person because of his status. And then when he's appearing in court, there will be no case. There will be no docket. So they had to collate all the information that was presented to them and so on. Trust me, the question you're posing, I posed not to the investigating officer, to the police. And they can tell you that the minister asked the question, why is the perpetrator not arrested? I asked that question. And then they explained to me. And I've put the elements of that in the statement. So that is not a spin. I'm telling you. If you themselves in the statement I've incorporated, basically playing us, it's a matter that we need to deal with. You see? Because I posed the question. And they said that, no, Minister, arrest will be made. But if we make an arrest simply because of the reports that we see on the social media, we've got to collate information, make statements and all of that and be able to move in. But I posed the question, this is a matter of national interest. We are talking about the question that we must be decisive, especially in cases of this nature, you know. So we can't retreat on that, right? And I'm more pleased by the fact that today arrests have been made, court case is there, and the case should be tighter. In relation to whether it's GBH, common assault and all of that, I think that obtains in relation to the evidence gathered. And at the same time guided by the prosecutor and the investigator. And all of these things change from time to time. Because of the nature of the case, it could be very serious from where people are standing, but I want them to do their work without prejudice and pressure. But at the same time understand what we need as society, that people want to see justice to be done in this particular instance. And Manana, as the Deputy Minister, is not, favored otherwise in a different way in relation because of his status and so on. So he must actually be dealt with in accordance to the prescription for our law and those who are expected to enforce the law, without fear or favor. Now, that is what society wants. And if anybody else says you have not seen that, you have not heard people talking about it, and wanting to see justice done in this particular case, that person lives in some other island that I don't know. I know that the ANC spoke about this issue. I know the Women's League spoke about this issue. I know many other women on Women's Day spoke about this issue. I know that other political parties spoke about this matter. And so on, that the Deputy Minister must be brought to book and so on. I don't control people who come to Parliament to vote. I'm not the chief whip of the ANC. So I don't know why he didn't pitch that day to vote. But obviously there was no warrant of arrest at that time for him not to pitch. He was supposed to come in and vote, but he didn't vote, and we still thrived. And so on. So it would have been now that we're assisted by Manana to win, but he didn't vote. And so it's only him who can explain to the chief whip of the ruling party as to basically what happened. But my interest as the Minister of Police is to send a message even to that when it comes to justice, we can be friends. It might be painful, but the law must take its course. And there is no favoritism with regard to that. And it's not a difficult case because I've never understood what is the matter here, because the perpetrator is there, he's been pointed. He must actually appear and made to answer questions. I think there are issues that the police could have done to communicate without fear or favor message, and they chose not to do. I don't want to say that is a spin. I think from my point they could have acted expeditiously, because it doesn't mean the day you are arrested the case is over. Arrest means that you are arrested because there is a case against you. Investigations continue. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but those who are dealing with the issue and those who are administering the law, those are the reasons that they gave. But I can tell you, as a minister, I did pose those questions. I posed those questions immediately when we started dealing with the issue as early as Monday. So General Mutiba knows that. General Deliwe, they know that. I posed those questions to them. And that is the extent to which I've dealt with the matter on my part. And as much as I've been smashed, I'm not a celebrity. I will never make it a popular issue that I want to do things at the expense of an individual. But if somebody is being accused and then the law is not grinding on that person, we have to account. And that is what is important. And Mdu included and all other people that we get to arrest and bring before the law, because each and every case leads to another. It is Mdu today, it will be somebody else tomorrow. So what is the attitude of us in relation to these cases, and how do we act? Do we act swiftly in relation to them? And that is what is important. So where there are defects in this case, they must teach us how we must act in future with regard to politicians who are well known and all of that, who get to be arrested from time to time for wrongdoing. How do we deal with that? For various reasons, especially for women cases. And I was giving reference to them. I said that the president was accused in this country, and he was arrested, and he appeared in court once the investigation was actually done and information collated. But it did not happen immediately when Kwezi went to report the case. It didn't happen. Information had to be gathered, evidence and all of that, and then he appeared in the Randburg court, and then he was arrested. So cases are followed up differently, because sometimes it is not like a person who killed a girl in Alexander and ran away, right, and is nowhere to be found. Obviously the message there will be different, because that person have committed a murder and then he have run away. Others come in and hand themselves over. Some we've got to hunt them down because they've disappeared. But here I am, I'm a public representative, I'm accused of a serious crime. And obviously the deputy minister is living in our residence of the state. So there's no problem to say that. Somebody said to me on WhatsApp, when are they fetching him? The police say they don't know where he stays. And then I said, Bayanya. How can they say that? Because his address is in there. Don't quote me on that. It's off the record. Yeah, no, it's off the record. So I said that, but I said that because where I stay is unlike you. Yes, we don't know where you stay. It's a question that we must get you on the phone. We must investigate, find ways to find. But a minister, a deputy minister, is a property of the state. We're staying in the property of the state. So you can't say you don't know where Mbalula stays. They know. So that is why I said, Gaume chief, let them not play marbles with you. So that's what I said. But equally, guys, I can't interfere with investigation. The next thing, the case will have fallen through the window, and then the problem was this overzealous Mbalula. He went now, he wants to be a cop, he did this and that. My issue is to communicate public interest and to say, General, why is DM not arrested? Because of this and that reason. And here is an outcry. Now I can't put a blind eye when society is giving me an outcry in my desk everywhere I go. I'm the Minister of Police. I'm not the Minister of Water Affairs. I must account. So I must account through my police in relation. And I've done that. So there's no issue about it. I've done that. And I'm happy today we can report that the matter is before the courts. We have made great progress.
Thank you very much, Minister. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good.
Minister, I just need to get clarity on the policy that you were talking about.
So,
to make clarity of the policy.